I want to tell you about someone. Her name is Tammy. Tammy graduated with a second class offer. She had worked for it, 4 years of early mornings, late nights, borrowed textbook, and the likes of it. 3 months down the line, she received a call that changed something for her. She received a job offer, right? With solid salary, staff ID, and the likes of it. Her first day came, she resumed work, but by the end of the week, something felt deeply wrong. Nobody had told Tammy that her manager communicated almost entirely through tone, and reading the tone correctly was as important as any task she has been assigned to. Nobody had told her that sending an email to the wrong person in the wrong order could cause a political situation that she didn't understand. Nobody had told her that being brilliant in isolation meant very little if she couldn't translate the brilliance into a team environment. She knew how to write a research paper. She did not know how to navigate a performance review conversation. Knew how to pass an exam under pressure. She did not know how to manage her emotions when a colleague took credit for her idea in a meeting. She was prepared for the classroom, but she wasn't fully prepared for what came after it. And here is the thing. This is not necessarily Tammy's fault, and it's not yours either. School did what school was designed to do. It gave you knowledge, it gave you structure and credentials, but the workplace operates in a completely different dimension. And today, we are going to talk about what the dimension actually requires. Welcome back to Diary of a Young Professional. My name is Fitzroy Duante, and this is episode 3 of our series, Transition from School to the Workplace. In episode 1, we talked about the mindset shift. In episode 2, we established that your degree is not your career. Today, we are going beyond both of this conversation because understanding that a gap exists is one thing. Knowing exactly what fills that gap is another. This episode is about what the workplace actually requires beyond the classroom, beyond the certificates, and even beyond the grade. And I want to be clear from the start. This is not about criticizing education. School gave you something real and valuable. The conversation is simply about what comes next, what you now need to develop to truly thrive in a professional environment. The first thing that the workplace requires beyond the classroom is the ability to navigate unwritten rules. Every organization has two sets of rules. The first set is written, your job description, your KPIs, your contract, your company handbook. These are official rules, the ones everyone can see. The second set is unwritten, and these are the ones that shape your experience the most. Things like who really has influence in the room, regardless of their title, how decisions are actually made versus how they are supposed to be made, what your manager values most, even if they've never said it out loud, how communication flows in the organization, what behaviors are rewarded and what behaviors are quietly penalized. These things are never in any orientation manual. Nobody sits you down and explains them on your first day, but they are real. And learning to read them is a skill that will serve you enormously. The classroom prepared you to follow a syllabus. The workplace requires you to read the room. The second thing the workplace requires is emotional intelligence. The classroom rewarded intellectual performance, the right answers, the correct formulas, the highest score. The workplace reward something that goes alongside the ability to manage yourself and relate effectively with people around you. How do you handle feedback that feels unfair? How do you respond when you're frustrated, overlooked, or even under pressure? How do you read the emotional temperature of the room before you speak? How do you build your new relationships with people who are different from you? These are not small things. In any professional environment, your emotional intelligence will determine your trajectory just as much as your technical abilities. The good news is, unlike your degree, emotional intelligence can be developed at any stage. It grows through self-awareness, practice, and a genuine willingness to understand people. The third thing that the workplace requires is intentional professional communication, your communication skills. The classroom taught you how to write essays, how to deliver presentations. The workplace requires something more layered. How you write an email matters, who you copy matters. The tone of the tone you use with your manager versus your colleague or even a client, they matter. Knowing when to speak up and when to listen matters. Knowing how to deliver difficult news, ask for what you need, push back respectfully or even advocate for yourself. All of these really matter in a professional setting. Communication in the workplace is not just about clarity, it's about relationship strategy and awareness. And developing these skills intentionally is one of the most powerful investments any young professional can make. The fourth thing that the workplace requires is genuine spirit of ownership. Yes, ownership. The classroom had safety nets. You had your deadline extension sometimes, you could even receive some exams, circumstances that were even understood and accommodated. The workplace operates on a different standard, not because it is harsh, because it is consequential. Real clients, real deadlines, real impact. Ownership means you take full responsibility for what is in your hand. You communicate early when there's a risk. You bring solution alongside problems. You follow through not because someone is watching, but because your name is on it. This is not about perfectionism. It's about professionalism, and it's a standard that will set you apart from your peers very, very quickly. And the fifth thing that the workplace requires is your ability to manage yourself, your time, your energy, your priorities, your growth. The classroom gave you structure from the outside, timetables, syllabus, exam. Someone else always defined the framework. But as you grow in your career, especially as you take on more responsibility, you become increasingly the architect of your own structure. You decide what you prioritize. You invest in your own development. You show up consistently, even when the motivation is low. Self management is the foundation that every other professional skill is built on, and it is something you must develop. You must deliberately and intentionally develop this over time. So let's go back to Temi's story. Temi wasn't underprepared because she didn't work hard enough in school. She was underprepared because school and the workplace are simply two different worlds, each with its own language, their own requirements, and its own rules. Classroom gave her the foundation. What she needed now was the building. And that is exactly what Diary of a Young Professional is here to help you build. Over the next couple of episodes, we're going to go deeper on each of these areas, one at a time, practically and honestly, because you deserve to walk into your workplace not just qualified, but genuinely equipped. Subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. Share with any young graduate or young professional in your life who is navigating this transition right now, and drop a comment below. Which of these five areas do you feel you need to develop the most? I'll read every single one of them. Thank you for watching this episode of Diary of a Young Professional, and I'll see you in the next one.